Is reform needed? Is it through you? Those are the opening lines of the poem To a Pupil from Walt Whitman. Those questions are as important now as they were 150 years ago when they were written, probably even more so. Is reform needed? Is change needed? Absolutely. That's why you're a member of the National Speakers Association. That's why you're involved with Meeting Planners International. That's why you do the things that you do, coach the way that you coach, because you're trying to make the world a better place. One person at a time, one group at a time. Is reform needed? Absolutely. Is it through you? Who else? That's why you do what you do, work so hard, and share of yourselves. I'm reminded of the song from 10 Years After some years ago. You may remember it. I'd love to change the world. You remember that song? Well, I think of that one part where he says, I'd love to change the world, but I don't know what to do, so I'll leave it up to you. Is reform needed? Is change needed? Absolutely. And we're the ones to do it. You're the one to do it. But sometimes it's overwhelming. What do we do? How do we make this work? Today I am sharing with you that we have 3 things to do, 1 way to do it. 3 things to do, 1 way to do it. The 3 things that we have to do is to go where the action is, play our hearts out, and do no harm. Let me share some stories to illuminate. We got to go where the action is. It was about 14 years ago, family vacation down in Corpus Christi. And I'm in the waves with my youngest son, who was 9 years old. And I had him, I had my arms around his back, and I'm lifting him up so he can keep kicking every wave. Because every wave was one of those bad characters from Pokemon. You remember the Pokemon cartoons? Well, he knew all the characters, good and bad, good and evil. And I'd lift him up, and he'd kick every wave, trying to chase it away, keeping it from hitting the shore. Well, this got tiring after a while. We had fun, but I said, buddy, we need to take a break. So we walk on over to the shore, and we're there about 2 seconds, maybe. And he says, Dad, what are we doing here? I said, well, buddy, I'm a little tired. We need to take a break. And without skipping a beat, he said, but Dad, how can we save the world if we're not where the action is? How can we save the world if we're not where the action is? How can we affect change or make any kind of reform if we're not where the action is? Whether that's change in our school, our church, our community, our family, we need to go where the action is. We're involved with organizations. We sit down at the dinner table with the family. Where's the action at the family? Maybe we ought to sit at the dinner table again. We need to go where the action is, because that's where we need to be to save the world, to change the world, to create some sort of reform. So we go where the action is, and then what do? The second thing is we play our heart out. Again, it's the same son, about 4 years later. He's playing with the Friendswood Youth Football League. He was on a pitiful team. Pitiful team. Okay, they have a thing called the mercy rule. So when the score is 48, when one team has 48 points over the other one, okay, the team has to stop scoring. Okay? Cameron's team played 8 games that season, and out of the 8 games, 8 times the mercy rule was enforced. Oh, yeah. I did say pitiful, didn't I? Okay. They were pitiful. Well, in that environment of being beat up every season, every game, every quarter, every play, Cameron's team actually ended up in a strong defensive posture. Not for long, but they were. And something very important happened. The opposing team was at the 5-yard line, and they ran a play up the middle on first down. They scored about a yard. Cameron's team was talking to each other. You could hear them kind of maybe helping each other, kind of maybe pointing fingers a little bit. Then on the second play, 2 yards more gained, and the players start snarking at each other. They're not exactly boosting each other up. The third play, they move another yard, and then the players are tearing each other apart. You should have blocked. You should have tackled. You should have done this. You should have done that. They're blaming each other for the lack of success. And in that comes this voice from these young 12, 13-year-olds. This voice comes out and says, "It doesn't matter what the score is, Johnny. Play your heart out." It doesn't matter what the score is. We play our heart out. It doesn't matter how difficult the times, how small the funds in the checkbook, how stressful the day. It doesn't matter. We play our heart out. We speak our heart out, create our heart out, cook our heart out, love our heart out. Because when we go where the action is, we have to give it everything we've got, and we play our heart out. Within that time of going where the action is and giving everything that we've got, sometimes we get blinders on and we don't notice our effect on other people, which gets to the third item, which is do no harm. During the time that my first wife and I were separated, leading to a divorce, I lived in a little apartment complex, and there was a pond at the complex. I like to go to the pond and fish a little bit, collect my thoughts, sometimes get supper. And so on one day I was out there fishing. It was me and my little white bucket, or big white bucket. I'm an optimist. Okay. And so I'm fishing, and I catch a nice catfish, about 3 pounds, good fillet size, good meal for a grown boy. But after a while of fishing, I was ready to go back, and he was the only fish that I had. So I threw him back. So I walked back to the apartment, and on the lower step of the stairway was one of my neighbors. And I've got my big white bucket and my fishing pole, and the neighbor says, "Hey, you been fishing?" Yeah. No, I was dewberry picking. No, yeah, I've been fishing. And he said, "Did you catch anything?" I said, "Yeah, a really nice catfish, good for supper." He said, "Let me see." I said, "Okay." So I took the white bucket and tipped it over, and he looked in, and there's nothing there. He said, "I thought you caught a fish." I said, "I did. But I figured if that was the only stupid thing he did today, he didn't deserve to die for it." And from that moment on, my son has called me the Gandhi of fishermen. But anyway, the point is that people are going to do stupid things. We work with them and we encounter them and we think, what are they thinking? But they don't deserve to die for it. We should not kill their spirit, kill their flame, kill their ambition, kill their self-confidence, kill their creativity, kill their sense of morale just because they did something stupid. Yeah. We try and help them grow, try and help them improve. That's part of changing the world too. But we don't kill them for their stupid mistakes. So those are the 3 things that we do. Is reform needed? Is it through you? Absolutely. Go where the action is. Play your heart out. Do no harm. Now, how do we do it? There's one way to do it. And that one way to do it is with every fiber of your being, of who you are. The experiences that you've led, the knowledge that you've built up, your personality, your character, your sense of humor, everything that makes you who you are, that's the way you do it. And with that, I return to Walt Whitman, who started this presentation. This poem is my wish for you, my call to action for you, and my hope for you. Is reform needed? Is it through you? The greater the reform needed, the greater the personality you need to accomplish it. Go, dear friend, if need be, give up all else, and commence today to inure yourself to pluck, reality, self-esteem, definiteness, elevatedness. Rest not till you rivet and publish yourself of your own personality. Go change the world.